Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Co-Parent Life of Brian. Today's episode is about hearing or understanding accents with cochlear implants. So, let me start with a short story. After I first moved to the Toronto area from Ohio, I one day commented to my wife that I was a little self-conscious about my deaf accent. She looks at me with a puzzled look and says, "I don't think you have anything to worry about." And I said, "Why?" She says, "Because the Toronto area is filled with people with so many different accents that your accent won't stand out." And I thought about it for a second. And I said, "You're right." Okay. So she's right. The array of accents in the Toronto area is amazing. You can run into people with Jamaican accents, Punjabi accents, Chinese, Filipino, French slash Quebecois, uh, the Dutch community. And when you get in closer to my family, my mother-in-law had a very thick Dutch accent. I understood her most of the time, but there were times where it threw me for a loop. My sister-in-law lives in the UK with her husband and two kids. And prior to my cochlear implants, I struggled with understanding their British accents. So, with the diversity of accents in the Toronto area, oh, by the way, 50% of residents of Toronto proper are foreign born. So, you have to learn how to deal with accents both from a professional and a personal perspective. So, in the summer of 2012, when my speech got worse, when my hearing got worse, click on the above link to learn more about that episode. When my hearing went downhill, it became more muffled and the sounds were fuzzier, and it made it much more difficult for me to comprehend folks with accents. So that was one of the primary reasons why I decided to push for cochlear implants, to gain the clarity of sound that would enable me to understand and comprehend accents and to help me carry on conversations. Adding to all of that is the fact that I teach and train in Filipino martial arts. And because of this, I've come into contact with a very large Filipino community in this area. That means dealing with Filipino accents. For the most part, I don't have a problem understanding them. But after my hearing got worse in the summer of 2012, I had increasing difficulty understanding or carrying on conversation with some of my Filipino students. So that was yet another reason for me to get cochlear implants. So after my hearing went downhill in the summer of 2012, and as I mentioned earlier, the sounds that were coming through to me were muffled and fuzzier, and it became very frustrating for me not to comprehend what other folks were saying. And it led to increasing isolation. I didn't like any of that. So when I was told that I might be a candidate for a cochlear implant at the Sunnybrook Hospital, I decided to go for it. And I haven't regretted it since. The difference between hearing aids and cochlear implants is amazing. The clarity of sound with the cochlear implants is off the charts. Way better than hearing aids. In my case, much better. In my ability to carry on conversations with all kinds of folks have improved dramatically, including with my British niece and nephew. I said earlier in the video I had trouble conversing with them, particularly around 2012 after I got my cochlear implants and to nurture a relationship with them, I subscribe to a number of British news channels on YouTube to get a hang of the British accent. Let me tell you, that helped. And I have a great relationship with my niece and nephew now. Okay, so it might be helpful to subscribe to YouTube channels with various accents to expand your auditory horizons as much as you can. Now comes a caveat. Cochlear implants is not going to address every situation. There will be situations where another person's accent will be so thick that nobody can understand him or her. Let me give you a couple of stories. Back in the 1990s, I attended a martial arts seminar that was being taught by a Filipino grandmaster who was very well known in the martial arts community. Spoke pretty good English, but he had a very thick Filipino accent. And I remember during the seminar, I was trying to understand what he was talking about, the concepts that he was trying to teach. And I turned to a friend of mine named Chuck, and I said, man, I can't understand anything this guy says. And Chuck turns to me and says, neither can I. Welcome to the club. So that told me that most folks at this seminar had a difficult time understanding this guy. Didn't matter. His accent was so thick, it was difficult to understand him. So it is not you sometimes, the cochlear implant wearer. There is a popular show on Amazon Prime called Jeremy Clarkson's Farm. It's been on for a couple of seasons, been renewed for a third year. There is a character on that show named Gerald Cooper, who was a farmer in the rural countryside, and he speaks a particular English dialect that nobody on the show understands. And you should see the captions for indistinguishable speech or unintelligible speech. Nobody can understand what he says. So, cochlear implants will make your life a lot better when it comes to dealing with accents, but it's not necessarily the end-all be-all, because there are going to be folks whose accents that neither you or anybody else would understand. Okay, so do you have any questions about what I talked about today? If you haven't done so, please subscribe to this channel. Come back for more. Have a great day.